join us. Michael, that must be a tough one to take.
Yeah, really tough one to take. 20 minutes roughly or a bit less with 10 men, and the lads were digging deep, and 89th minute goal. Tough for the lads. I thought we did enough to get something out of the game, especially second half. I thought we came out well and looked a decent side, and we're pushing a top team in this league who have got a good squad, and we're a bit depleted at the minute, and we were pushing them second half.
Does the red card cost you?
I think it's a game-changing moment. There's no doubt about that. I don't think I can stand here and say it's not a game-changing moment. Whether it's cost us, I don't know, but for me, it's a game-changing moment for sure.
And people, I appreciate you weren't here earlier in the season, but people will point to the fact that Danny was sent off for a straight red earlier in the season, and some fans would say, and I would say, is he learning his lessons?
I don't really want to talk about Danny, if I'm honest. I want to talk about the Warriors out there that for 20 minutes looked like they were going to get something out of the game. I thought they were brilliant to a man, and I think it was so unlucky to not come away with something. Even at the end there where we nearly scored through last, I thought we come something out of that game. I think it's a really proud performance from 10 men out there.
Has he apologised to his teammates?
Yeah, he will. He knows. I can't really, like I say, I don't think it's about Danny. These situations are about the other guys that you saw. And do you know what? I was really, really impressed. Not impressed. I was really, really proud of the crowd tonight. I thought they were amazing. I thought when we were under the cosh with 10 men, you could hear them, and I think we're going to need that for these, weeks, games, months where we're a little bit depleted on squad. And the crowd today, I just thought were fantastic to help the lads through. And do you know what? We nearly got through.
It felt like a step on from Friday in some performances.
What do you mean from Friday?
In terms of some of the players, their performances were better than Friday.
Yeah, I thought today, again we had a game plan to try and stop them starting and stop them playing, and in the first half that worked. Then we tweaked something at half time to try and get a little bit more pressure on the ball and start to cause a threat in behind a little more and work our way into the game. And just they had a bit of the ball, but we looked threatening, and we looked like we were going to start to edge our way up, and it looked like the game was more 50-50 in the second half, but it is what it is.
So we said beforehand you're down to bare bones. I have to actually mention Danny because I don't think he's available now to the 22nd of January, so you've lost another striker for nearly a month, and then you've just to fill in the gaps for other listeners who didn't hear you beforehand, just explain the situation with Adam and Jack.
Yeah, so Adam had a bug, so we've got to see how he is. Jack's pulled a slight hammy, so we've got to see how he is. Obviously Danny now, I don't know how long that'll be, and then you saw the skipper out there today. He was struggling and he just kept going and going and going, so we don't know how he's going to respond to that. So it is what it is. We have to keep fighting, and I think these moments, we just got to keep digging deep together. We need the crowd, we need the team, we need the staff. Everyone just needs to dig deep and try and get points with how we're looking at the minute.
You mentioned Rika a couple of weeks ago. Is he getting closer at all to being a chance?
Yeah, closer. And as all coaches, you want to rush these players, but unfortunately, the medical staff and the performance staff have to manage his markers so that we don't get someone in and lose straight away. So we just have to make sure that we keep strong as a squad, to keep defending well, and keep working on things.
Whilst you don't want to make short-term transfer decisions, do you still feel the need to look at the market in January as a club?
I think we have to be realistic, and I think we have to, that's part of the job of Jez and the board and Liam and myself to look at what we can do, but I think we need to be realistic. But there's also players that need to come back. I'm excited by maybe some of the players that are coming back as well as going into the market as well. So it's a bit complicated, but we'll see what we can do.
And just to clarify, by coming back, because I know what people are when they're listening, and they'll be aware that one of your players was scored away at Walsall today. Are you talking about injuries, or are you talking about players not here?
Talk about players that are our players that are injured or part of other clubs or whatever it is. We have to make decisions on those players because we're going to need some reinforcements in January in some sort.
And would Freddie be an option for you that you're thinking about at the moment?
He's one of our players, so we have to make the right decision for Freddie, but we have to make the right decision for the club in the moment as well. So yeah.
And just finally, Northampton, a quick turnaround, and like you said earlier in the interview, you'll need the crowd again.
Yeah, for sure. Northampton are a good team. I went to watch them on Saturday. They beat Oxford 2-1, so it's another tough game for us. But if we defend well like that and have a bit more going forward, I think we'll win the game. And I think it's a game that we can win, even though we're depleted. But we're going to have to be at our best.
Michael, thank you.
Thank you.
Michael Skubala.
Hi, Michael. Whilst it's not necessarily the result that is wanted, there were still definitely moments, especially first half, where the press seemed to very nearly work. There was a couple of times where the keeper just had to sort of get rid. Yeah, so
we talked about being strong as a unit and aggressive, but when we could press and go and put some pressure on the ball, having the right moments to go and do it. And there was times where we looked like we got it right, and I thought that was quite impressive. So we're still not sitting in the whole time. It's when we can go and press together, and there's times where I thought if we'd have gone a little bit quicker as a group, we might have nicked it.
And you mentioned sort of the beginning and the second half, you made a few tweaks, you're able to get on the ball a lot more. What was the difference in comparison to the first half?
Just getting a couple of players a bit higher, getting a couple of players a bit closer, and when we land on it in transition, being better with the ball, and how we can, play through the team quicker and get it out of pressure quicker from one side to the other. And little simple tweaks, but with the ball, and then without possession, going a bit more aggressive on what they're doing.
And finally, I know you mentioned the depleted strike force that you have, but it also just shows in those little moments where there are potential counter opportunities. It did seem that whoever was up front, whether it be Jovan or Jack, just did seem a little bit isolated.
Yeah, we were isolated a little bit, but that was part of the plan. And I think you've got to understand, Santos, he's probably one of the best defenders in the league. And it's hard for Jovan up there on his own, but I thought he did better today. So credit where credit's due with him. But Santos is probably the best defender in the league and the most aerial dominant in the league. So we had to sort of work out a plan to get the ball down and go in transition, so we could go around the sides of him rather than keep launching it up to him.